where we review all the best sports clips from around the country. Now you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time. They talk down to us. They think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly, truly special, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of First Things First, talking about whether or not the Chiefs can get blown out by the Ravens. I mean, we already know what Nick Wright is obviously going to say, right? He's going to say preposterous, ridiculous, absurd. I haven't watched this clip, so I don't know. But that's my guess, obviously. I think it's an interesting question because, put it this way, before I hit play, I'll just say this. I think the Ravens have the chance to blow out the Chiefs, but the Chiefs don't have any chance at blowing out the Ravens. The only way that could happen, the Chiefs blowing out the Ravens, if it's one of those weird, bizarre things where there's a run back for, a punt return, right? An 87-yard punt return, and then, in the next play, there's a fumble or, an interception, right? Like just one of those things that typically don't happen in games, but can, and then that's when the score kind of gets blown open. But besides that, I'm not seeing it.
Doc Rivers as our fourth panelist. No, but he's going to consult for Bru's position. See what happens. See where it
First things first. We start with the First Things First Bowl. It's the game and also the Monday show that we're trying to drive you towards. Broussard's Ravens versus Knicks Chiefs with me rooting from the parking lot. Ravens have Bon Jovi'd several playoff teams. Seen a million faces and they've rocked them all. I didn't even like that.
Yeah, okay, nobody did.
People from New Jersey loved it. They won 9 games against winning teams by more than 2 touchdowns. Wow. Texans, Browns.
That is wild.
Lions, I know. Also, I don't think they're worried about the NFC Championship. Like, we beat them by a combined 46 points.
That's crazy.
All right, so do you want to go first here, Brew? Kick us off. Could the Chiefs actually get blown out?
Nick, I don't even hate to tell you this. It's on the table. It is on the table. And I assume you're going to say this, and you should. I know you do your homework. You probably know. Mahomes has only been blown out 4 times in his career. Did you know that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I did.
18 points by Buffalo in the year they were struggling. Remember, they were 3 and 4.
It happened twice in quick succession that year.
24 by Tennessee. I don't know how in the world that happened. 22 in the Super Bowl to Brady and the Buccaneers. And 15
this year
to Russell Wilson.
All it took was 5 turnovers.
Now, what is a blowout 2 touchdowns or more?
Sure.
Because I'm feeling like about 2 touchdowns. I'm feeling like about 2 touchdowns.
Wait, hold on.
Obviously, my official pick is going to be the Ravens.
Well, you say obviously. You change Super Bowl picks like people change socks.
I've been with the Ravens all year. When you and Greg were like, Greg Jennings, who will be here later, we're like, they're not even making the playoffs. I was with the Ravens.
That's right.
But here's the thing. This I feel like will be the Ravens' game plan. All right? Run the ball. Okay. The Chiefs are vulnerable against the run, as we saw with Buffalo. Run the ball, and the Ravens happen to be the best run game in the league. And you've got the most dangerous or unique runner in the league in Lamar Jackson. So run the ball, eat up clock, limit Mahomes' possessions, and then you got to get some stops. You get some, and that defense is capable of getting some stops. So when he does have the ball, get some stops. So, and then, of course, Lamar throwing advantageously. And Lamar doesn't make a lot of turnovers, only 7 interceptions this year. And the Chiefs are high on turnovers. Only 6 teams have more turnovers
during the regular season in particular,
than the Chiefs.
It was a disaster. In the first playoff game, They had one turnover. I didn't really care. It's when they were running. It was 40 seconds left in the game. Backup running back. But the turnover against Buffalo could have lost them the game.
Yes. So they had a lot of takeaways. And Baltimore gets a lot. They led the league, obviously, in takeaways.
And the Chiefs
there's a formula there. So I'm not, like I said, I'm feeling like about 2 touchdowns.
All right, Wilds, you're going to.
So I think that's a fair assessment by Brew. I really do. This is the way how I look at it. I'm about to sneeze in a second, so all right, I don't know if it's going to come out or not. But so the way I look at it is this. It's not always the best thing to look at the past in terms of what they did to other teams. And I've said this a lot now, I think it's helpful. It's just one of the puzzle pieces. Looking at stats, looking at matchups, looking at health, looking at the weather, looking at the time of year, looking at, what did they do to similar teams that they played or just similar level of competitors. And I think all of that, is what you need, right? It's never just this one thing. You can't just say, oh, look, they blew out all these teams. That means they're going to blow out the Chiefs, right? Like, that's silly. They blew out the Chiefs in the regular season, which I know they didn't. But, let's just say they did. It's like, oh, that means they're going to blow them out again. And it's like, no. That's, again, that doesn't make any sense. But the way I look at it is this, probably more than anything. When the Chiefs have not truly convincingly won any games that I can think of, at least no games recently. Even the Dolphins game, yes, they beat the Dolphins, which I'm not going to keep going on and on about how I never thought the Dolphins were that great to begin with. But with that said, it wasn't domination. It was more just watching the Dolphins just not be good enough. And there's a difference. And and I'm not going to go say what I often say is like, who wins the game versus who loses the game, because that game wasn't about the Dolphins losing that game. It was just about the Dolphins just not being a good enough team. And we saw that. They just couldn't do things. It wasn't like they were just being shut down by the elite, Kansas City Chiefs, or that the Kansas City Chiefs were just running over them because they just couldn't, handle it. When we watched that game, it was just clear that they just weren't good enough. That the Dolphins just straight up were not good enough. It looked like a varsity versus, JV team, honestly, in a lot of ways. And so, but you never get that feeling when you watch the Ravens. Of course, the Ravens aren't undefeated. Of course, the Ravens can get got. But when the Ravens play, and especially when they blow out a team, you're just like, wow. And so, again, I don't really care so much about what you do in week 6 and week 7 and week, 10. Like, that doesn't really matter to me as much, because those are such specific circumstances in a lot of situations. But what we saw the Ravens do last week versus what the Chiefs have done in both games in the playoffs, the Chiefs are just not impressive to me. They just aren't. Patrick Mahomes is impressive to me. He will always be impressive to me. I am not, for whatever reason, a lot of people think that I'm a Patrick Mahomes hater, and I'm really, really not. I love Patrick Mahomes. I think he's awesome. I have no negativity towards Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, am I sick of seeing him in commercials? Yes, I am. I confess that. My favorite players in the world, I hate commercials to begin with in that regard. So seeing the same ones again, and they just beat you over the head again and again and again. And as someone in the comments pointed out before, people like Nick Wright make you want to hate someone like a Mahomes or the Chiefs because they're so obnoxious and they inflate them to such insane degrees that you're just like, well, that's just not true. And you got to pull it back down to reality. So I feel like that's probably why, to some degree, I may come off as like a Brock Purdy hater or a Patrick Mahomes hater, and I'm really not. I genuinely rooted for Patrick Mahomes plenty of times in Super Bowls and other big games. Like, I wanted to see him and Andy Reid win. Like, I wanted that, okay? That's, I can't be any more forthcoming about that. So my opinion on the Chiefs is just what I genuinely see, and they're not good enough. They're getting by. But again, the Bills game was more about the Bills losing that game. And again, if we want to say that the Bills aren't good enough, then, right? Because a lot of people want to come at me and say, the Bills are not good enough, they blew it, or, stop being a Josh Allen apologist and all that. Okay, if that's true, then, if all those things that I've said in the past about the Bills that are just excuses, well, then the Chiefs should have really, beat them good. If Josh Allen is really not that good, and is really not that special, and the Bills' defense was not that special, and this and that and the third, then the Chiefs should have really won that game convincingly. And I understand that one fumble would have made the score a little bit larger, but that's hardly anything. That they were in that play because of a terrible play call by their I still am confused whether or not that was the coaching call or if that was like an on-field, call because they saw that there wasn't enough men on field. Either way, it didn't work and it wasn't smart, and you gave Patrick Mahomes a short field, and you gave any good quarterback a short field, and boom. So, like, I think in a lot of ways, we could just erase both those plays, out, honestly, because they weren't really the norm within a general football game. So, I just think that the Chiefs are just not that good, and there is this misconception that they are good or that they're getting things going right now, and they're really, really not. And again, don't point to me to stats. I don't care. I mean, I really don't. Like, putting up good numbers against the Dolphins, like, okay, why is that impressive? It's not impressive to me. It's just not. So the Ravens have the ability to run all day. What are they playing at? 3 o'clock all day on the Chiefs all day. And the big thing is that the Ravens have the ability to truly shut down the Chiefs, and they're not afraid. I will concede that maybe the Bills were afraid, or that the Dolphins were afraid, or that they were nervous. I'll say maybe won't say afraid, but they were nervous, right? Like they were just kind of like, we know Patrick Mahomes is great, we know Andy Reid, we know all this stuff. No one on the Ravens is afraid. No one. Because he has a Super Bowl. That organization has been there. They know what's up. And Harbaugh knows how to prepare his teams. Lamar Jackson is not afraid. He wants this moment. He wants this more than anything. So there is no monkey on the Ravens' back, so to speak, in this regard. And so I just don't think that there's that same level of angst or fear. I think the Ravens are like, we are confident who we are, because you saw that just against the 49ers game. There was no angst. There was no nervousness. There was no, oh man, this is another big team. We got to make sure that we beat them. Or there was none of that. They just played with their food in that game. I mean, they just dominated start to finish. And I think there's true potential for that to be like that against the Chiefs. I don't think it's, going to be a blowout from right out the gate. Honestly, it's not like, what's the one Super Bowl with Peyton Manning when it was Seattle, whatever, when that game just got blown open like right away. I think that's who it was, right? And I just think that that's really what the potential is.
You're gonna have to keep me honest here, because I was a little upset about the question when it was, is this possible? Mm-hmm. Now that Brew is leading the audience and us to believe it's not only possible, he thinks, but probable.
Is it probable?
That it sounds like he's saying that they're going to get
score. Yeah. I definitely got the Ravens winning.
It sounds like you're saying that they could lose by more than 10.
I won't say it's probable. It depends how you define probable. I think there's greater than a 50% chance that the Ravens blow out the Chiefs, like by win more than 14 points or 10 points or whatever range they're using. I think there's a greater than a 50% chance of that happening, but I'm not saying that there's like an 80% chance of it happening, but I think it's greater than a coin flip.
That you think
for sure.
You're going to pick them to, okay, so
it's definitely on the table.
So this is
the centerpiece.
And where I'm saying this is where I'm saying Wilds, keep me honest, because Wilds had a nice pep talk with me the other day that said I need to be less angry at times when we're talking about the Chiefs. And it's not that I'm angry, I'm just frustrated that I'm always right and no one listens. Sure. And so that causes frustration.
I was listening.
And this is disrespectful and it's ridiculous. So Brew was correct in the amount of times, but you can kind of segment the Mahomes era into 3 buckets if we could show it. So up until the Super Bowl against Brady,
pretty good,
they never got blown out. Forget the record. Just look at the 14-point blowout. The first time he ever got blown out was the Super Bowl against Brady. From that moment through their next 7 games, it happened 3 times. It was the Chiefs' version of a Super Bowl hangover, if you will. And then from once they got through it, since then it has happened once, against a team that, dare I say, they had overlooked because they had beaten 16 straight times.
Division opponent.
But Brew, they were on, it was one of the longest winning streaks in NFL history against a division opponent.
They're not thinking about that.
Okay, well, I'm telling you, when no one,
they had nothing to do with those 16 games. Or,
well, they did though. But no one on the Chiefs had ever lost to the Broncos, and they turned the ball over 5 times. I don't think that's going to be their mindset going into this game. Now, I want to be very clear here. I do not think the Chiefs will blow out the Ravens, because if we can show it to you now, the Chiefs and Ravens have something in common. They never get blown out. So this is over the last 50-some games. The Chiefs and Ravens are the 2 teams in the league that it's only happened to once. But this is where I get frustrated, Wilds.
All right.
Bruce right when he says you don't win the Super Bowl every year. That is correct. But here is what does happen every year. The Chiefs' season starts in the AFC Championship game.
That's right.
And an awful year, the worst imaginable year, they go 0-1 with an overtime heartbreaking loss. Mediocre, disappointing years, they go 1-1. And the other years, they go 2-0, and they celebrate that 2-0 season with a parade that we attend. That's it. So the idea that they are going to start their season by getting blown out, it's not on the board. It is not, and I don't care, to be honest, that the Ravens have blown out a lot of teams. And I want to also be clear on this. I am not saying what I said against Buffalo. Against Buffalo, I thought it was, and Miami, unfathomable that the Chiefs lose the game. I think the Ravens are a worthy competitor with a great all-around team, a champion coach, and I think Lamar will eventually get over the Super Bowl hump, and it could happen this year. No. But a blowout is not on the board.
Let me show you. And look, 2 touchdowns. I guess that's
a blowout.
Sure. Okay. Let me show you some history since you brought up the Chiefs' history.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, these are the 9 teams, including the Ravens. So the 8 other teams that have blown out 6 or more teams with winning records in the season all went to the Super Bowl. And in the last 39 years, since 1985, they've all won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that speaks. There's a little history for you.
But that speaks to if the Ravens can win the game. I think the Ravens can win the game. I don't think they will. I do not think it is on the board of potential outcomes that the Chiefs get blown out.
Right. Can I show you another graphic? And I'll ask you this question. It's a trap.
Oh, thanks for the warning.
Well, I'm just trying to be a good teammate. Do you think Mahomes is going to play poorly?
No.
Me neither. Do you think that he's going to have a passer rating of, let's say, 80 or more? 80.
I think he
Not like 120.
Could be in the 80s.
Yeah, it'd be in the 80s. Well, every game that they've had with Mahomes with a passer rating of 80 or more, they've won. So I know it's hard for us on TV to try to.
That was a trap. That was a great.
Is that this year?
That's this year. So if there's no chance Mahomes is going to be bad,
well, there must
and he's definitely going to have a passer rating of 80.
Okay, but let's look at some of these teams though. The Patriots, wow, congratulations. The Raiders, okay, wow, congratulations. The Dolphins, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Minnesota Vikings. What is that? The Chicago Bears, I think, right? I don't want to. Is that the Bears? Oh yeah, and then the Jags in week 2. So I don't. Why? Please tell me. Please tell me. Name one team up there, and the Bengals. I see. Name one team up there that's equivalent to the Ravens, even remotely in the Ravens stratosphere. Not a single team up there. So again, it's like a silly comparison. You know, I mean, it's a very silly comparison. I mean, it actually is like it's a trap more so because it's just dumb. Honestly, we're gonna compare what the Chiefs did to the Patriots versus the Ravens. Like, what are we talking about here? Or the Chargers? Or the Broncos? I mean, it's just silly. The Bengals with a backup quarterback? Like, what? And again, if you watch that game, that Week 17 game, Patrick Mahomes didn't particularly play well against a terrible defense and a backup quarterback. They easily could have lost that game. So, it's just stupid.
80% or more. 80 or more.
Yep.
They're going to win. And none of us think he's going to go in there and lay an egg or throw the ball around carelessly.
Can we at least admit this is a different Chiefs season? This has not been the typical Chiefs season.
But that's this season.
No, but I'm just saying, like, this is a unique. We've never seen this from Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yeah, but playoff Patrick.
Even the year when they did struggle early, obviously they were great late, but the offense got clicking. The offense, I don't even think it's been incredible in the playoffs. It's been better, obviously, but they did play some injury-depleted teams.
I am going to get irritated on the injury-depleted stuff.
But it is true.
Here's what's not going to happen leading into the Chiefs-Ravens game. People making pre-excuses for the Chiefs because, Ravens on a rest advantage, which they are. The Chiefs, it looks like they have one All-Pro on offense this year, Joe Thuney. He's supposed to miss the game.
And that'll be big if Thuney's out.
Of course they matter, but the pre-excuses as if the Bills were having excuses made as if they had no chance despite the fact they were the favorites. Mm-hmm. And so that part I'm not buying into. What I am buying into is that I think you have to give some ground on is it is a different Chiefs team, but that cuts both ways. Because this Chiefs team, because of the defense, Mahomes could be slowed and they win.
I wasn't that impressed with the defense last weekend.
Okay. Right, exactly. You weren't impressed with the defense, and again, if Nick Wright continued to say that the Bills even made they made the playoffs because of the Bills, offense in that regard, or because of the Bills defense, not the Bills offense. That it was the defense that carried the Bills into the playoffs. Which therefore that would mean that their offense isn't that special, and yet their offense still put up 24 points against the Chiefs. And if the Chiefs have this big shutdown, defense, where was that against the Bills? Again, against Josh Allen, who makes terrible throws, who's always fumbling the ball and turning the ball over and making all these mistakes. So I think if you don't really believe that the Chiefs can get blown out, you're just not really watching the games close enough, and you're letting the fact that you're letting the name get in the way as well. Of the Patrick Mahomes. And you have to move on from that. This is not last year. This is not the year before or the year before. This is not 2019, 2020, 21, 22, not even 2023 anymore. It is literally 2024. The Chiefs are not who they were. Patrick Mahomes is not playing like he was, whether it's because of him or whether it's because of his team. I'm not going to have that debate right now, but that is the reality of the situation. And I think we're going to see this game, and I just really hope there's none of these weird fluky moments where it's like, on a kickoff and it hits the back of another player and it's a live ball now, that stuff can be exciting, but they also sometimes that really determines a game, and you're just like, that's such a freak accident. If it's just a good, regular, clean, old-fashioned football game, then I think without a doubt the Ravens will win this game, and I think the Ravens will absolutely have the potential to blow them out. But what do you all think? Do you think it's disrespectful that the Chiefs, this question even to ask if the Chiefs can be blown out? Do you think that it's pretty much a guarantee that the Chiefs will win because of Patrick Mahomes? Would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Let me know in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe, as we are building an amazing community, as I said, and I would love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.